All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Caroline Horn. I am the Associate Director for Orientation and Student Onboarding here at Bentley. We are so excited to have you all here tonight for our post-orientation family workshop. It has been a busy few weeks, but we are so excited to have your students on campus and to see them already engaging here at Bentley. So I'm going to hand it over to our Vice President for Student Affairs and Dean of Students, Andrew Shepherdson, to kick us off.
Great. Thank you, Caroline, and welcome everyone. Thrilled that you're here joining us on this evening, and just want to say how terrific it has been so far for these first couple of weeks. This is an amazing class. They came to campus with great energy, great spirits. We had a wonderful welcome and wonderful orientation program, and I got to see them. Hopefully I saw many of you at convocation. I got to see them again at the end of orientation and share some thoughts with them, but just really was amazed with the energy that they were bringing to a space 3 days in on a Sunday afternoon. So really thrilled. So thank you for sharing them with us and choosing Bentley for your child to come for their education. They're hard at work, they're in class, they're learning what college education is all about and figuring those pieces out, and also figuring out their out of the classroom experience. So today is really designed to help you guide them through this experience. Now that they've had a chance to see what it's like, you've had a chance to see how they will do while they're here. We've got our team here ready to give you some advice, hear your questions, and share our thoughts on how to make sure that this first semester is successful. So we've got a great group of folks to share their thoughts and ideas with you. And of course, we have our students who will really be able to tell you the true experience and share with you their thoughts on how to be successful. And we'll all be here to help answer questions at the end and throughout the program. So thank you again for sharing your student with us. And thank you for being here this evening. We look forward to helping you tonight and helping you throughout the experience. Thank you. Thanks, Caroline.
Thank you, Andrew. Now we are going to talk a little bit about the orientation program. So we have some slides that we're going to share with you tonight. And really, to kick it off, we're going to talk a little bit about Orientation 2023. So the various points that our students came in with prior to orientation beginning. So the first piece was they completed self-guided learning courses in August and in September. And so those self-guided learning courses were on diversity, equity, and belonging, our cognito training, which is more mental health and counseling focused. One was on alcohol EDU, and then one was on sexual assault prevention. So if we can head to the slides on orientation as a whole. So our first day of orientation really was a kickoff to what does it look like to be at Bentley. So some of the pieces that students participated in were our vendor fair. So we had various on and off campus vendors taking part in that, so students could learn about banks or phones or different on-campus resources. We also had a welcome session for our commuter students, which really focused on how commuter students can focus on academics, but also learn how to get involved while they're here at Bentley. Then new this year, we had our Falcon Walk, which hopefully some of you got to participate in, where we had a bagpiper and flex really lead the way to convocation for our students. And so we are really excited about this new tradition, and hopefully it stays for years to come. After the Falcon Walk, we had convocation, which was the official welcome from the university. Students went to RA meetings that night. We had a first night block party where they were able to make different novelty items for their room. And then we also had a local shopping trip for some of our exchange students to go to Target to get some last minute supplies that maybe they didn't have yet as they arrived to campus. Day two was primarily focused on academics. So we had an academic overview from our academic services team. This year, we were able to incorporate a welcome from our Falcon Discovery Seminar staff members. So they did an intro to that program that all of our new students take part in. And then we were able to collaborate and bring in a keynote speaker, Ken Wadake Jr., who talks about the Free Hugs movement and the importance of community. So that was one piece that all of our students participated in the arena. That afternoon, they got to explore various academic resources while also having an ice cream social on our library quad space with the president of the university. We had some small group meetings with our orientation leaders this day so students could start to connect with their peers and our orientation team. And then we wrapped up that day with cab bingo. So one of our big traditions on campus is bingo. Students get to win a lot of really great prizes. So we incorporate that into the orientation program so they can experience that tradition one of the first days that they're on campus. The next day really started with the importance of community and what does that look like to be a community member here at Bentley. So we had a session on equity at Bentley where we talked about Title IX and some of those pieces. And then we had a session called Falcon Support 101, which highlights counseling, health center, conduct, and really what does it look like to be a pro-social bystander on campus. Students were able to attend their first Bentley football game on this day. It was a great day where they were able to have lunch right near the game, have a falcon break, and really kind of just take a break, watch the football game, and enjoy being on campus. That afternoon, we had a session called Life of a Bentley Student, where students were able to hear from upper class students on their involvement journey and what does it look like to really be a Bentley student and to live life as a Bentley student. So that is a session that students were able to participate in. One of our longstanding Orient traditions is lowering our shields, which is based on storytelling and a time where students felt like they belonged. So students were able to hear from 5 of our orientation leaders on their story of belonging. And then we're able to go into their small groups to really share their story and to really start opening up to other members of their orientation group. And then we wrapped up that night with Falcons After Dark, where we take over the student center and have all sorts of different activities for students, whether that be karaoke, trivia. We had some Build-A-Bear type events. So really a chance for students to engage in our student center. And it's really the first time since the summer that our student center is full of students again. So it's always a really nice way to wrap up that day. Sunday, we had a session from our student equity and inclusion team to really talk about what does diversity, equity, and inclusion look like at Bentley. And from there, they were able to explore all of the different lounge spaces in the student center through a scavenger hunt style session. They were also able to have a closing session with Ed Garrity, who is a motivational speaker. His son is actually part of this new student class, so it was really nice to be able to have him there to talk to the new students, to talk about the impact that they can make at Bentley and really close out the orientation program. From there, we had closing group meetings and a closing night activity where we had all different inflatables up on the green space for students to interact and really just spend a pretty chill night together as we closed out the orientation program. So I know that was a lot of information that we covered in those 4 days, but as we're looking at the fall semester, there are a lot of different ways that the students can continue to engage with our community and really learn what they want their Bentley experience to be. So we have a program called Falcon 40, which is all of the events on campus that are taking place within the first 40 days of the semester, starting with orientation. So we have a month-to-month calendar with events happening on campus for new students, but we also do a week-to-week post on our Welcome Falcons Instagram account. So students can always see what is happening on campus and really start to engage in some of the different events, whether that be our Back to Bentley concert or some of our athletic events or a Bentley Plus even. So a lot of different things for everyone to find something that they're interested in. Our Falcon Foundations program is a leadership retreat that will take place in November for our first year students. This is a chance for students to continue to connect with upper class student leaders while getting to participate in some small group meetings, hearing some different talks on what does it look like to be a leader, but it's more of a small cohort style. So we'll take about 40 to 50 students in this. So it will be application based. So if your students are interested in that, applications will go live soon. Falcon Discovery Seminar is a course that all of our new students take. So this is something that all first year students will take part in. Our small groups are based off of their first year seminars. So they're able to really think about a wicked problem and take part in conversations while connecting with peers within their first semester. And then CDI is a course that they can take in the second semester of their first year, which is run through our career development office, and really talks about strengths. What does it look like to create a resume or create a LinkedIn page? And it really kickstarts that career development piece for our new students. And so one other piece of our post-orientation is our Bentley Plus program. So I'm going to hand it over to Nicole Shabbat-Weefrich to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, good evening, everyone, and thank you, Caroline. My name is Nicole Shabbat-Weefrich, and I'm the Associate Dean of Student Engagement here on campus. So feel really lucky and privileged to work so closely with our orientation team, and I'm sure you've gotten a great sense of the amazing amount of work that goes into just the joy we have in welcoming our new students to campus. And I also work with our Student Programs and Engagement team, who works with our student organizations, our fraternity and sorority life community on campus, our student center, and I'll explain a little bit about that in a moment. But to start with, we want to make sure you all understand what our Bentley Plus program is. And this is a self-directed program where our students enroll and select important competencies that we've developed. You can see these on the screen now. They're divided into 3 categories of develop, think, and act. We have a total of 11 competencies, and we have staff that sit down with students at 3 distinct points during the year. First, to help them select their competencies, develop what they'd like to focus on throughout the year, understanding their areas of strength and how they want to do this work and development in a co-curricular and engagement setting. And then in those second and third sessions, really pushing them to think deeply about how they've aimed their work at exploring these competencies, how they've developed those, and any additional goals they have for the year. It's a really exciting program where they get to really be in the driver's seat. So we have a campus calendar on our campus groups page where they can look and see which events are tagged with which Bentley Plus competency. This allows them to really think, if I'm focusing on leadership, let me look at what events I can go to that allow me to do that in a way that I know this event has been tagged appropriately. And then at the end of the year and throughout the year, we have great social opportunities with students participating in Bentley Plus, as well as a recognition event at the end of the year to acknowledge the work that goes into students really investing in their skill building. So we are really proud of this program. It's something that we are very excited. For me, it's one of the highlights of my year every year to sit down with a small group of 4 to 5 students and hear about how they're investing in themselves, what they're choosing to get involved with, and help them just really shape their skill building. So all of your students received information about the Bentley Plus program during the community meetups on the Sunday of orientation. So they have this information. Some of them may have already enrolled. There's still time for them to go ahead and do that as we're kicking off our first sessions over the course of the next couple of months. And if there's any questions about this or certainly anything else, you can throw those in the Q&A, and we'll be doing some question answering a little bit later on. I'd also love an opportunity this evening to talk to you a little bit about our focus areas in student affairs. And as Andrew spoke to earlier, we get the distinct privilege of welcoming your students into our community and making them part of our Bentley family. It's also important for you all to understand, as we hope your students do with all the robust programming during orientation, what we think are the really critical parts of their experience on our campus. So we have in student affairs these 3 focus areas that we really make sure that we're leaning into throughout the year, that the things that we're doing, the ways we're investing in your students and in our community can really attach to these. So the first is student well-being. I'm sure all of you are very dialed into how your students are doing both physically, emotionally, spiritually, as they adjust to a new community. So we really focus on this as well. Our health center, our counseling center, our well-being area, and spiritual life, they all had opportunities during orientation to connect with your students. And we also, with the modules that Caroline recommended, or excuse me, spoke to earlier, and some additional training opportunities that your students will have. I believe that we do a really good job and a strong job of making sure they understand that their wellness is our priority as well. We also have some great student organizations that are focused on student well-being. One chapter that comes to mind right away is our Active Minds chapter, which is really a community of students focused on student mental health and student well-being. So this is really a focus area where we like to see our students thrive and shine. Equity and inclusion, our student equity and inclusion area within the Division of Student Affairs represents our multicultural center for those folks who may have had students in our Mosaic program. They had a 3-day pre-orientation program to really center around our students of color and their experience of adjustment to Bentley and community building. And that was really, it's amazing to watch that program every year in the sense of community and connection that our students of color and our new students to campus come away with. We also have our Center for International Students and Scholars in this area. So anyone who has a student from outside the United States, we really make sure, again, this year with an international orientation program, that we're doing what we can to make those students feel welcome, to help with their adjustment and make sure they have everything we need. Our gender and sexuality student programs area falls under our equity and inclusion team. And this year, again, they had a great community meetup, really getting our Pride organization, as well as our other student organizations connected to our work around gender inclusivity, got those kicked off and really got students connected right away from the new class. And then our spiritual life area also falls within this equity and inclusion department as well. So lots of student organizations, lots of involvement opportunity. And this is both for a sense of engagement, but also to make sure that Bentley's standing in its values. We have great and strong core values around diversity, around inclusion. It's really important for us to make sure that our new students, regardless of where they're coming from and in honor of their different identities, that they're feeling like they have a place at Bentley that can be safe and welcoming for them. And then finally, our social connection focus area is really, as I was speaking about earlier, about making sure we have a thriving culture of community on our campus. So we have over 120 student organizations. We have a great community that makes up about 20% of our students that are involved in fraternity and sorority life. Our student center is right at the heart of campus, and we work so closely with our students to make sure that we plan traditions. We have a lot of beloved events. As Caroline talked about, we have our cab bingo events. We've already had some great Harry's Pub trivia happen, and also our first Back to Bentley concert and our activities fair. And this was an opportunity for your students to come to the green space. We had well over 1,000 students there to walk through tables of all the registered student organizations and start to figure out what they would like to get involved in. And what I'd just like to add at the end of this too is that we have a great process in place for students to create and add new things that they have not seen on our campus that they would like to bring and leave their mark and their legacy. So if there's ever any questions that you or your students have about how to get involved, what's going on campus, and or how to start something new that they haven't seen, we have really amazing staff that are prepared to connect with them and answer those questions. You all do also have access as family members to the events calendar on our campus groups page. And after I'm done, I'm happy to pop that link into the chat and make sure that in any information that we send out to folks afterwards that we can include that. But hopefully this gives you a sense of the work that comes out of our Student Affairs Division. Our athletics program also really covers all of these in terms of our teams, our spirit, our tradition, our students' wellness. And then we have the lucky privilege of working with our university police team, which is in our division, which also helps us support the safety, comfort, and engagement and community building of our students. So really grateful to be able to share that with you. And again, we will address any questions as they pop up.
Hi, everyone. I'm Alex Salome, and I'm one of the undergraduate academic advisors here at Bentley.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tiffany Goodall. I am also an undergraduate advisor at Bentley. We're both in the advising office, which is a part of our academic services. So far, we connected with your students a lot over the month of July about academics at Bentley, and then we were able to reconnect with them on day 2 of orientation to kind of recheck in and touch base and cover more topics with them. And since then, we are now shifting gears to working on academic success in the first year with them. So we're going to kind of drill down with you all today what that looks like for us, and just highlight the main components of that. So connecting with advising, adjusting to college academics, and exploring academic opportunities and programs.
So we just wanted to highlight a few ways to get in touch with our office. The first that's really important to know is that every single student is assigned an academic advisor, and we partner with them throughout their until their senior year. So all 4 years, we are their academic advisor, but they are welcome to meet with any one of us and can connect with any advisor at any time. We have our own emails. They can always reach out to us, but we also have a general email for academic services where they can email that GA and it will be forwarded to their academic advisor. We offer drop-ins throughout the week. So those are 10-minute conversations. They are typically led by a peer advisor, but during particularly busy times, we do assist as well. And again, those are like for quick conversations, roughly 10 minutes. If anything is longer than that, then we recommend that students book an appointment with us. Those are typically around 30 minutes. And this is for more extensive conversations surrounding goal setting, long-range planning, academic difficulty, major, minor selection, and really just allowing us to have a longer conversation with them. Some digital resources to know within our office is our monthly newsletter that gets sent to all the students, gives them very important information, things to look out for, and just be aware of in the coming month. There is also the FDS Advising Resources site. This is something that they'll be using to really give them information, again, about our office and how to get in touch with us, but also what to expect, such as registration and things to look out for. You can find our academic calendar on our academic services website, and this can be helpful if you need to plan any travel, or if you just want to be aware of some important dates that are happening throughout the semester. And then last but not least, for the digital resources, there is a degree works audit. This can also be found through Workday. So this will really just provide students with their own degree requirements, what credits they've fulfilled, what they have left, and especially during our drop-ins and our appointments, we will be utilizing that and showing them what it means and how to use that. And then last but not least, our programming. We offer pop-up advising. So this is actually where we meet students where they are and scatter ourselves around campus and really just go to places where they frequent the most. And we do this mainly during key times just to make ourselves known and just really connect with them. And then we also offer various workshops throughout the year. So right now we are in the works of creating one of how to select a major and just things to look out for in terms of major and minor selection.
All right, so some things we do want them to focus on within their first year is just really adjusting to college academics and how that might be different for them. So focusing primarily on their study skills, what they did in high school, is that still working at the college level? Do they need to make adjustments? Revisiting time management, this is a very big one because it can be very different for students having their classes scattered throughout their week. It's a lot less in-class time and a lot more out of class time that they need to schedule out for studying. Additionally, we want them to just also make sure they're making time for social engagements and interacting with the campus in other ways outside of their academics. So time management is a super important one in their adjustment period as first year students. We also encourage them to start making connections with their faculty, with their professors, just gaining comfort with that and starting to network with them. All the professors, faculty members have office hours that they can utilize. So we encourage them to attend those if they have clarifying questions about class assignments, or just want to connect with the professor about, maybe the major topic if it's something they are thinking about pursuing as one of their academic programs. The next thing is campus resources. So just learning what those resources are, it really is on the student to make sure they are utilizing those resources as they need them. We are happy to teach them all about them, but we want to make sure they feel comfortable going to those resources, such as we have a lot of learning centers on campus. That might be a different experience for some of your students. So we have a math center, we have a writing center. There's many more, but for example, we have our Leaf Lab that they help with economics, accounting, finance courses. So we have about 4 or 5 other ones as well. But if they ever are not sure where to go, that is something that they can definitely come to us about. They can go to, you know, their RA, their peer leader. So their FDS peer leader will be significant in this first semester. They meet with them every week during their FDS class. They're a great resource, and it should be very easy for them to connect with them about anything they have questions about. And then the last thing we kind of just make a point of to focus on is their approach, especially this semester, to academics. It might be very different than they thought. It could be exactly what they thought, but just keeping an open mind and adapting as they move through, making adjustments, starting to align their goals, and just seeing what worked in this first few weeks, how are we going to adjust moving forward, and throughout the rest of their time here at Bentley.
We also wanted to highlight that this is a time where students are exploring academic opportunities. They're finding out what sounds interesting to them, what doesn't, and they're really starting to gather information either from faculty or from their peers of what they like, what they don't like academically. So we really wanted to emphasize to students that this isn't a time to be making decisions necessarily about majors, minors. It's really a time to be open-minded and see what interests them, what courses are resonating with them, and really start to articulate what they want to do at their time in Bentley and define those academic goals for their 4 years.
All right. So as we go through the rest of the panel, we really wanted you all to take a moment to really reflect and write a letter to your student. So this is something that they did in the closing of orientation. So they were able to write a letter to their future self. So I will put this link in the chat. And if you want to draft a message really reflecting on your thoughts, your goals, your wishes for your new student, you can select the send date of December 15th of this semester, right around finals. You can type in your email address and send for the future. And then when you get this email, feel free to share it with your new student and reflect on all that they've been able to accomplish during their first semester. So I will go ahead and put the link in that chat. And then we will have the next piece will be a student panel. So we have a few of our orientation team members here, but really take a few minutes to think about writing that letter to your new Falcon. And then if you have any questions, feel free to put those in the chat as well, and we'll make sure that we get those answered for you. So I will post that link right now. So now that you have the link, if you want to continue to reflect on that after this workshop, send that note to yourself, your new Falcon. That would be a really great checkpoint for them as they wrap up their first semester or even their first year here at Bentley. The next piece of the workshop is going to be a panel with a few members of our orientation team. So I'm going to have them all unmute themselves and introduce themselves. As you can see on the slide, they have all different class years. They're in all different majors, minors, involvements on campus. But I'm going to have Brooke, Jack, Jeremiah, Kelly, Luke, and Mia introduce themselves by saying their name, their year, hometown, major, and how many years of being an OL. So
Caroline,
Mia,
just real quick before we jump into that, I'm so
Yep.
sorry to interrupt. It looks like we do have somebody who has raised their hand to ask a question. If we could just ask that folks type their questions, if possible, into the Q&A feature. What we'll do is after we get to hear from our wonderful students, we will go through and we'll be answering all questions then. If at that point it's easier for you to raise your hand and jump in, we can provide that space as well. But just really encourage folks to continue to put questions in, and we will do some answering once we get through our panel. Thank you.
It won't let us share our screens.
okay, how about you? Let's have Mia start talking and then we'll figure that out and we will have you unmute yourself.
Everyone, I'm unable to share start my video, but it's so nice to have you guys all here tonight. I am a junior. I'm planning on majoring in management with a concentration in supply chain and a minor in IDCC, which is information design and corporate communication. I'm from Madison, Connecticut, and this is my second year being an orientation leader, and I'll pass it over to Kelly.
Hi everyone, my name is Kelly. I also can't share my video right now. I'm a junior here at Bentley. I am from Avon, Connecticut. I'm majoring in marketing with a minor in IDCC as well. And this is my second year being an orientation leader. I'll pass it to Jack.
Luke, do you want to go next? We'll hand it to Jack next.
Yeah, sure. Is everyone able to hear me? Okay, yeah. So my name's Luke Gately. I am a junior, so class of 2025. I'm a sales major, professional sales, from West Bridgewater, Massachusetts. And this was my first year being an OL.
Brooke or Jeremiah, would you like to go next?
Yeah, I totally can. Hey everyone, my name is Jeremiah. I am a senior here from the Bronx, New York. This is my second year being an orientation leader, but I am a data analytics major with a double minor in sports business management and business studies. And I will toss it over to Brooke.
Hey everyone, my name is Brooke. I'm a junior here at Bentley. I'm majoring in finance and minoring in mathematics. And I'm from Bolton, Connecticut, and this is my second year being an OL. And I'll pass it to Jack.
All right, so now you can see all of our wonderful orientation team members, and we will start off with the first question being, what activities are you involved in on campus?
Yeah, I can start. I'm a part of the orientation team, as you guys know. I'm also a part of the campus activities board, which puts on Super Bingo, which was one of the first activities your students participated in when they arrived on campus. I'm also a part of Greek Life and the Greek Activity Council. Jack, do you want to do your little intro and a little bit of what you're a part of, if your mic's working? No? Okay, I'll pass it over to Kelly.
Okay, so I'm involved in Alpha Kappa Psi, which is a co-ed business fraternity on campus. I also am in Bentley Radio Club, as well as I actually just started the women's club volleyball team, so I'm super excited to get that up and running. Yeah.
I can hop in next here. So in addition to orientation, I'm also a tour guide on campus. I'm a senior advisor for our actuarial and analytics club. So I'm making sure everyone at the school gets some jobs in those fields. I am the director of activities and entertainment for Relay for Life, our cancer awareness organization on campus. I'm also a member of Delta Sigma Pi, the other business fraternity on Bentley University. And I've also started a few organizations, the first being Active Minds, which is our mental health awareness organization, student-led at Bentley, and also Delta Sigma Iota, the first ever multicultural fraternity at Bentley. So super excited to get to speak a little bit more about all those.
So I'll jump in off of Jay. I'm also a new member of the Bentley Active Minds Club. I'm super excited for that to get started up this semester. I'm also in the Bentley Bear Club, which is like the outdoors club. And I'm also a part of the Bentley Blockchain Association.
Hi everyone, I'm a part of the O team, obviously, and I'm also in our acapella group. It's called Off the Clock. Super fun. I'm also in the Bears Club and just joined the radio club as well. And I'm also in the actuarial and analytics group.
Okay. So as you can see, our team is involved in a lot of different ways on campus. Some just started being in those clubs. Some have been part of them since they started at Bentley, but definitely a wide range of involvements. Our next question is, when was the first moment you felt like you could call Bentley home? Hey, do you want to start off with this one?
I can start. But I think definitely I found home in Bentley when I was going through the orientation program. Kelly and I were a part of the same orientation group, and so it was really nice to have someone from Connecticut who played volleyball at the same club place as I did in my orientation group, and it was just really nice to have like a familiar face in one of my classes. So it definitely helped me out.
I can go next. Me and Mia go way back. I would say, honestly, probably whenever I joined my business fraternity, that was the first like big community I joined on campus. It was really nice kind of just finding people with like the goals that align with mine, and everyone was super motivated and just a really nice group of people. So yeah, I would say as soon as I found that community.
I can go. I would say I felt at home at Bentley during my second semester of my freshman year. Everything just started to kind of click in a little bit better, and I had a solid group of friends. I was in a bunch of clubs that were all really great. I got to make friends with a lot of upperclassmen as well who showed me the ropes a little bit. So that's when I would call Bentley home.
Yeah, I think for me, it was joining two clubs. The first would be actuarial and analytics club. It went by math club at the time, but that's when I met my roommate, who I still room with to this very day, 3 years later, who introduced me to join the orientation program, which was a great opportunity to really build my network and meet tons of amazing people at the school that I wouldn't have met otherwise. So I definitely feel like that was the prime opportunity for me to really find my home here at Bentley.
And then for me, it was similar to Mia and Kelly. during orientation when I found out some of my friends from my orientation group lived in the same building as me, and then we would continue to hang out after orientation. That was when I really knew that it was home.
Hello, can everyone hear me now? Yes. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so guys, I'm on my phone, so I can't see like the whole screen right now, but I'll just start with like quickly my introduction and then what activities involved in, and then I'll get to when Bentley felt like home to me. So I'm Jack O'Kane. I'm a junior, which feels really weird to say because yesterday I felt like I was a freshman. My hometown is Dumont, New Jersey. My major is business economics, and I have a concentration in international relations. I have 2 minors, one in law, one in history, and this is my second year being in OL. Activities on campus, I'm a tour guide. I'm the vice president of the Bentley Economics and Finance Society. I'm an orientation leader, and I'm the vice president of the Radio Bentley. And for the first time, I felt at home on campus was probably when I started joining clubs like Radio Bentley. I joined them with my friends that I met through orientation, and it's really when you start to join a larger community than of yourself, then you kind of feel you're really a part of Bentley, in my opinion. And so when I joined those clubs, met other freshmen, upperclassmen, I really felt that I was a part of Bentley, and it felt like a new home for me.
Thank you all. Our next question is, what was your favorite part about Bentley as a new student?
All right, I'll answer this question first. For me, I come from like a town where there's not like a whole lot of diversity, so I guess like my favorite part was meeting people from so many different backgrounds and getting to understand so many different perspectives. I guess that's my answer. Yeah.
My favorite part was definitely like seeing everything Bentley has to offer. Like there's so many different clubs, there's many like extra activities that you can get involved in that I just never imagined that I would be participating in. So just like going to the activities fair, seeing everything that I could do was the best thing about Bentley when I joined.
I'm going to give a quick shout out to our campus activities board. I came out here within a month of coming to this school. We had 24K golden performing for us. Just the amount of opportunities that we have here for really wide scale or large scale events rather are endless. They happen throughout the year. So I really encourage you all to check all of them out because there really is something for everyone. But the fact that we were able to put on stuff like that is awesome.
I just really love how you can walk around campus and like see everyone you know. I feel like on larger campuses you can meet someone and never see them again, but at least at Bentley you're guaranteed to like run into them, you know, walk past them. So it just gives you more opportunity to like keep those connections.
Kind of going off Kelly, I would just say the people. You hopefully you find a good group of people you really connect with, and having that I think is super important. And like Kelly said, it's nice seeing a friendly face like almost anywhere I go on campus.
I would say on top of the people and the clubs, I would say the classes, college classes are very different, but the professors are so knowledgeable and have worked in so many different fields that you might not even think of exist or might never thought about learning about. And how they bring their knowledge into the classroom is actually really fun and interesting. And my first business law class, my first semester, is the reason why I'm now a minor in law. So, yeah.
So one of the questions in the chat is, what advice do you have for new students on helping them to make the most out of their time at Bentley?
I'm a strong believer in this. Get involved. Like if there's something you are sort of in, or your student is sort of interested in, but they're not sure about it, I say go for it. Try something new. You never know. That could be your next hobby or the next place you'll meet your best friend or something like that. So that's my one piece of advice. I know it's basic, but I believe it.
I think also someone told me one time, say yes to everything. And I don't think I did that as well as I should have freshman year, but I definitely think I started to more and more as years went on. And that helped me just open up so much, meet so many more new people who I didn't even think were like me in certain ways. But I think saying yes to as much as many activities and opportunities you have is super important.
I'm also a firm believer of finding your passion project. I think the cool thing about a school at Bentley is the work that you do inside the classroom is just as important as the work you do outside of it. So you can really zone in on something that you're very, very passionate about and find like-minded individuals that are also passionate about the same thing. You can really attach your name to a certain cause and have people associate that with yourself, which is really, really cool to see because soon you'll start building a coalition of people that are really bonded together over something. So I really encourage you to find something very, very particular to yourself, and then work on that throughout your time at Bentley because you will not regret the legacy that you could potentially leave here.
One of the things I've learned since coming to Bentley is that, like my freshman year, I was often afraid to start a conversation with somebody. But what I've learned is that most people are open to having a conversation. So my advice would be to just not be afraid to, initiate a conversation with someone new to you or someone you haven't met before.
My advice is kind of like Mia's: get involved. Go to that club that you might want to learn more about. Take that class that you might be interested in. Those things that you might be interested in might be things that you want to make your career or learn more about, or so many things about it. And I just think if I did not reach out, go to the career fair, the activities fair, I think I would not be in the same position right now and know as many great people that I know right now.
Yeah, I would really just say, like, make the campus your own, join groups that you like, but you can also start groups too. That's a really good thing. I feel like Bentley is really receptive to feedback, even in like small things like food suggestions and stuff. Like the school wants to help you make the experience better for all the students here. So I think that's kind of unique to Bentley. So if you like something that maybe you don't see a club for, or you don't see an opportunity for, the whole school is here to support you and bring it to campus.
Awesome, thank you. And I think so many of you all really have involvements where it's more like fun and you're getting like it's a hobby for you, but then you're also part of orgs that are going to help you in your future with future jobs and internships. And I think that's a really unique piece of Bentley that so many of our students find something that's going to like be future oriented for them while also being something that is a hobby for them. So the next question is, how did you go about keeping in touch with your family members while you are away?
I'll go first. So self-admittedly, my first semester freshman year, I was not the best at keeping in touch with my parents. And that's not that I didn't want to talk to them all the time. It's just that I was tossed into a completely like culture shock. And it was hard to find the time to talk to my parents. But what some of the ways that I have, gotten better at that is making sure that I'm, if I like think about that, I'll send them a text, or if I need something, I'll just give them a phone call. And it's just, I think that beginning time at first semester of your freshman year is a big culture change for a lot of people, and it's hard to think about anybody other than yourself.
Yeah, I would say that transition period is definitely a big thing. Like, if your kid baby isn't calling you, definitely give them some leniency on that. They'll settle in. I probably call my mom more than she calls me at this point. So I think just keeping open like a constant line of communication. I know people keep in contact differently. So kind of just if you need to, you know, hey, if you can give me a call like once a day or like once every other day type of thing, or maybe on weekends, just kind of so you know, and they're not like expecting a call, but everyone's really busy here. We all have a lot of involvement, so don't take it personally.
I definitely agree with both what Luke and Kelly said. Like, I definitely talk to my mom and dad a lot more now than like first semester freshman year, but to keep in contact with them, I would just send pictures throughout my day, be like, oh, like, look at this tree, it's turning colors, or like, look at how pretty the campus is, just like looping them in a little bit about what I'm doing. But it was definitely a lot harder the first semester I was here, just because I was trying to adjust, be here and present with everyone who was here.
Yeah, I'd definitely say it's really subjective. I personally don't have a lot of time to speak with my family, so we worked out a pretty cool arrangement where my parents follow the social media accounts of all the organizations that I'm involved with at Bentley. So sometimes I'll be waking up, getting ready to go to class, and I'll see a message from my mom about me being posted on Bentley's Instagram page or something of that nature. That's a good way of getting connected because the school has so many different facets of it that you can follow in different mediums. And if anything, that's a good way, a good segue into conversations, rather than trying to schedule out specific time blocks in order to speak with your students. Because as we're saying, Bentley's a school in which getting involved is so important. So I would really encourage you to take paths, it's kind of unique paths, and find out what works for you, because it's going to be different for everyone.
So what I do, and I also admittedly was not the greatest communicator the first probably 2 semesters, but I love to just call my parents when I have free time, and see if they answer. If they don't, they don't. And same thing happens for when they call me, but we always still try to communicate every few days. I also try to call some other people in my family, like my grandparents, about once a week, once every 2 weeks, to kind of keep them in the loop, because I also know they miss me as well. And I only get to see them on holidays. So I also try to incorporate other family members as well when I can.
I feel like everyone pretty much said it all, but I honestly am pretty bad at keeping in touch with my parents. But I know some people, their parents will text them goodnight every night, just like as a little check-in. So I think everyone's different, and everyone's gonna find their own routine and find what works best for them.
Going off of that and building in time for different things like phone calls to families, how do you all manage your time effectively in spite of classes, involvements, jobs? How have you found a way to manage that time?
Outlook calendar. Outlook calendar is going to be your savior. It's a really cool software associated with your Microsoft email address, where you essentially can just plug in everything that you do, whether that be classes. I just import my class schedule and then manually assign any club organizations that I'm a part of. And I also block out time for breaks for myself, just to make sure that I am taking care of myself as well. But it is your go-to. You also get notifications from the calendar 15-30 minutes before your commitments, so you'll never have to worry about missing anything. It really is a savior. I can't stress it enough.
Yeah, personally, I've recently started using Outlook Calendar. I still use my Google Calendar too. So both are acceptable, but you will have to use Outlook as a student for emails and other things. But yeah, the calendar keeps you organized, keeps you on top of things. You can sync both Google and Outlook calendars to your phone calendar. So then you get reminders on your phone about, oh, I have an event in 30 minutes, stuff like that. And I think the calendar really helps you prepare for what you have to do that day. And I also always make sure to look at it during the day, throughout the day, just to make sure I'm not missing anything and preparing for the days in advance.
So to piggyback everyone else, I would definitely say Outlook calendar. I live by it. And if I didn't have my Outlook calendar, I'd be lost. But I definitely utilize my on-campus job time to do my homework, which is very beneficial for me because I'm someone who gets easily distracted if I'm with other people. So when I'm in my office working, it's a great place for me just to like set specific time each week to do my homework or like other things that need to be done.
I think Outlook calendar, like everyone said, is a super great tool to like block off that time. Something I also do is I always have a Google Doc open that just says to do. And it's just kind of a running list of like homework assignments or just things I need to get done for the day. And I just have that open all day to reference back. And sometimes I'll like kind of use it as like a calendar and write certain times to do things, but I use both of those.
I think one of the biggest things that's helped me balance is like working in break times. And that kind of goes along with knowing like what kind of worker you are. Like I'm someone who does more of my work in the nighttime, so I know I'll have more free time during the day. Because there's a lot going on all the time. It's easy to kind of get wound up, but definitely just taking that time for yourself to like calm down has been a good balance and just decompress and everything. I think that's really important. But yeah, just like knowing what type of worker you are so you can manage your schedule around it.
And then I'll just give like a weird little tip that works for me. It might not work for everybody, but like say I have to get an assignment done on my laptop, like I will not bring a laptop charger because that way I'm making sure that I'm actively utilizing all the time that I can to work on that assignment. Because if my laptop dies and I wasn't doing my work on my assignment, then I'm out of luck. But that's just something that works for me. It might not work for everybody, but
And so Outlook Calendar is right off of all of our students' emails through Microsoft Office. And so our students can use that. They can color code it. They can add to-do lists on it. And so it's a feature right off of the email that they already have through Bentley. Our next question is, and we have two more. So any challenges that you faced during your first year and how did you overcome that?
I personally got sick a lot. College, you're going to get sick no matter where you go. It's just what happens. A lot of people in one area. And it was hard, especially because you're adjusting to college life and then bam, you're sick and now you feel bad physically, So what helped me overcome it was obviously open communication with my professors, explaining that I'm sick if I could not attend class for a doctor's appointment. Also, taking a multivitamin, a daily vitamin. I still take one to this day. My freshman roommate and I, we both swore to do this forever because once we started taking the vitamin, we stopped getting sick. And especially in the winter, everyone's immune system is lower. It's colder out. It's easier to get sick. You want to build that immunity before the winter cold comes. So yeah, that's my personal advice.
My biggest challenge was like figuring out exactly where I fit in because I was just trying a whole bunch of different clubs but I think it's just with time, knowing or where you fit in or where you belong just happens over time. With meeting like different people at different clubs and stuff like that. So for me, it just happened when I joined my sorority, but that's how I overcame it.
Yeah, I kind of have a similar story. Like I'm not super extroverted, so the first few weeks is like kind of hard. I make friends over time, so that was a little bit of a struggle for me, but just knowing that like some kids will make their like lifelong friends within the first month, but most people make them like second semester once everyone's settled in. Like a lot of things are kind of up in the air. You're trying to figure it out for a semester. So that was my biggest thing is it's totally okay to, take your time to make those connections, even though it might seem like everyone around you is making it faster, but joining communities really helped that.
So my biggest challenge was definitely I had a really toxic roommate situation my first semester freshman year, and that reflected in my grades. So my biggest challenge was second semester sorting things out with that roommate and figuring out what was going to work for both of us, and then getting on top of my schoolwork because that the way I performed academically was not going to cut it for better. And since then, I can confidently say I've made those proper changes.
Yeah, I actually want to jump in there. One important thing to recognize is that a college course load can be a lot. It can be a rude awakening for a lot of students, especially if you are excelling in your high school classes. So I just want to put this out there. Like, sometimes things aren't going to go exactly to plan when it comes to the academic standards that you hold yourself to. So it's very important that you are taking advantage of professor office hours. It's something that host at least twice a week. So it's a good opportunity for you to not only get some extra help in some of the classes, but also just build connections at a school like Bentley, in which professor to student relationships are very, very important for excelling both inside the classroom and beyond. So it's very important that we are not only encourage you all to join as many classes that you join as many clubs rather as you possibly can, but also note that coming to a school like Bentley, your primary focus is always going to be your academics and making sure that you are keeping that at the forefront as well.
I think the biggest challenge for me was probably just balancing everything, especially with school and making new friends, especially in that first semester, because I'm someone who studies probably more than the average person. So that was something that was a little bit of a struggle for me, but making sure, like, I know a lot of people like to go out at night, so I will get up early in the morning and do my work, but just finding that balance and what works for you, I think is super important.
Jeremiah touched on this a little bit, but are there any study tips that you, or getting work done tips that you would recommend for new college students?
My biggest piece of advice for this, I mentioned before, go to professor study hours, but also when you are in a class with a bunch of people, let's say you're not understanding things perfectly well, there are going to be tons of other people in the same boat as you. There are also going to be other people that are excelling in the class a little bit more. There's a great opportunities for you to not only build relationships with them, personal relationships with them, and make some new friends, but also potentially build a study group. It's a good opportunity for you to really get a more holistic view of a course rather than trying to take everything on by yourself. So I would really encourage you to try and do your best to meet as many people as you can, and really, take on Bentley as a unit rather than trying to do everything yourself.
Yeah, wait, I want to add on to that. Sorry, Mia.
No, you're good.
So my freshman year, I also was somebody that would I hated asking for help. And so that was something that I had to learn, was that it's okay to ask for help. And like Jeremiah said, forming a study group. There's study rooms in not only the library, but in the STU. I'm actually in a study room right now. And they're just a great resource for you to, get the work you need to be done collaboratively.
I was just going to say, use our campus resources. I know we touched upon them a little bit during the presentation, but that's what got me through my first year. Every day I was in the math lab because I was struggling a little bit, but use them as they're there to help you, and anyone who offers to help you study or anything like that, definitely take them up on that offer because they know they've been through the course before. So.
I guess not only using your resources, but kind of like I mentioned before, but finding that time of when you want to do your work. I know Kelly mentioned she does her work at night, so maybe she does more things during the day. I like to keep my nights more free because I know I personally have a very hard time focusing past 5 p.m. So I think just finding what worked for you, and some people, like my best friend, loves to study with people, and that doesn't work for me. So that may mean I'm more alone, but that's what I need to do to get my work done.
I would say for me is mapping things out. So checking the syllabus for every class and maybe putting in your Outlook calendar or Google Calendar. I use a website called My Study Life that I check every single day. And there you can put your classes and assignments, and then it tells you, oh, you have an assignment due in 1 day or 5 days, or even exam in 3 days. And so it's kind of like another calendar for me, but just for academic purposes only. And you can put what percent of the assignment you've completed. So maybe you've done a homework 50%. So that really helps for me. Also, finding a place on campus that you like, that you can study in. There's study rooms, as Luke said, in multiple buildings. There's some people can study in their dorm room. Some people can study with people. Some people want to study outside when the weather's nice. It's more about finding that place that you can do work. Maybe it's on campus, off campus. And another piece of advice that I think Jeremiah touched on his last question about the how a college course load can be a lot. I would just like to say that an A student in high school, or getting an A in high school, is a lot easier than it is in college. So please do not put too much pressure on your kids, because pressure is the last thing that they need. And and there are many resources on campus for them to get their A's, but pressure will not help when there could be sick, when there could be roommate conflicts, when they're having a large course load. So that's my advice.
Caroline, if you don't mind, if I just jump in briefly, I think you all on the screen are a testament to, all of your students had orientation leaders who are older students. For a lot of our students, especially those living on campus, they know RAs or have an RA. So oftentimes our upper class students tend to be these amazing, kind of rich resources for our new students. So for anyone who is shy, I saw that question in the Q&A, and students who are struggling in that way to ask for help, either directly to faculty or using formal resources, please encourage them to go back to their orientation leader or to their RA. Our OLs, certainly they work in a finite amount of time during orientation, but you would be surprised, I think most of them identify as OLs for life for their baby falcons. So they are there as a resource, and please encourage your students to utilize them as well.
And we have some different email addresses and everything, so I'm going to put those in the chat, but we're also going to open up for any questions that you have for any of the panelists here tonight. So if we haven't answered those questions yet that are in the chat, we're going to do that now. And the first question is, will the COVID booster be available to students at the health center and the flu vaccine?
I'm happy to answer this, as well as I believe there's another question just generally about illness for students and resources available. So the university has already run a vaccination clinic, I believe a second one last week. We have consistently kept up to date with offering the latest boosters. So I don't have a reason, and Andrew, by all means, correct me if I'm wrong, that we wouldn't be offering the booster for students as well as the flu shot in those vaccine clinics. So those take place fairly regularly. Students can also seek out our health center directly if they are feeling like they want to get that vaccine at the health center, not in a clinic environment. And for any students who are ill, I believe the question was asked about, besides faculty and professors, who should they let know? Certainly our health center is there. They have business office hours during the day. There's also an RN on call at night. Our university police is also available to bring students, if they need to an urgent care center if anything happens off hours. We do not currently have a meal delivery program to bring students meals in their room, but we do have the opportunity for students to get to-go containers in the dining hall, so that they just have to kind of walk out, grab their food, and they can head right back. But certainly our residence life team is on call to students in the evening hours and overnight. So there's a lot of ways for them to get in touch with folks if there's any emergency needs or they just don't know where to go. So lots of health resources, and I believe those vaccine clinics will continue throughout the year.
And yes, Nicole, there will be vaccine clinics throughout the rest of this month and through October.
One of the questions is, which events throughout the year would you recommend where families of international students could participate in?
So certainly any of our programs that are hosted on campus, we are certainly welcome, and oftentimes we'll see family members, especially at student performance events. They'll invite family members. But we recognize for our international families, this can be harder, and there's a sense and desire to want to engage in what your student is doing on campus. Oftentimes, some of our student events will do a live stream. Student organizations, if they're interested in being able to stream on our website so that families internationally can watch, those are resources we can work with them on to see if we have available staff on campus to do that. And a number of our academic sessions and different conferences throughout the year do often provide live stream links for people participating abroad. So there's certainly ways to engage in some of the things that are happening on campus, but please encourage your students to, if they're doing something and they want you to be able to see that, to make sure that when they're working with an advisor or staff and student programs and engagement, that we can work through with them ways that they would be able to video and capture that. I would also encourage you to follow the @BentleyU Instagram handle, the Bentley_SPE Instagram handle, and I can put these in the chat, but this is where you'll see a lot of our coverage of student events. So even though it's not a way to participate live, it is another way to stay dialed in. And I think it was Jay who made this point that kind of encouraging family members to follow accounts of student organizations that your students are a part of. That can be a way too to capture an essence of what they're doing. But it's a great question. And if anyone dialed in is a family member of an international student and has some ideas of how we can support that, we work closely with our CISS, our International Students and Scholars team, and they are always looking to work in collaboratively to make sure that we can expand our services to our international students and families.
Our next question is about the internet in trees. And so I'm going to hand it over to Andrew to answer that.
Sure, thank you. The first thing I would say, I was texting back and forth with our chief information officer to see what information she had. And she's not aware of any systemic issue in the trees or in alder. She is aware of some individual issues with some settings and other pieces. So the most important thing I can say is call the help desk. Have students, they can email or they can call the help desk. So the help desk can categorize and understand, is it a timing issue? Is it a collective issue related around one hub? Or is it an individual issue? We do not, the parent Facebook page is a separate page, not affiliated with the university. We don't set it up. So I'm not a member. You have to be accepted to be there. So it's not something that we know what's going on. So I do know yesterday, for instance, staff that were off campus were having internet issues, staff that were on campus were having internet issues. So there have been some interesting internet issues throughout at least greater Boston. But we will follow up, and I know Liz will be, our Chief Information Officer, Liz Hess, will be looking into some things tomorrow just to see if she can find out if there's any trends. But again, going to the help desk to report the issues is the best thing to do, and we'll get right on it.
All right, for our OLs, can you talk a little bit about the process of how you became an OL?
So personally for me, when applications for RA and OL were being sent out and we were getting newsletters about it, I reached out to my OL, Morgan Scott, who's now an alumni, and she really encouraged me to apply. She was actually abroad when I messaged her, so it was really nice for her to respond, and she encouraged me to apply. After that, I made sure to be on the lookout for emails, Instagram posts, flyers about the orientation team, and I went to an info session that was hosted in the Student Center, and from there I got the form, the online form, to sign up to be an orientation leader, and I filled it out over winter break, and by the second week of January, probably the second week we were back at school, the form had closed, and I was waiting to hear back to be invited to join the group interview or the group process, and hopefully get the orientation role, which I thank God did. So yeah.
For me, I would go, well, it's kind of something I've always wanted to do, but going through the orientation program as a first year student, I saw how much fun my orientation leader had, and I wanted to be able to share that experience and my love for Bentley for the incoming class. So what better way to do that than become an orientation leader?
Here we are.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. So this was my first year being an orientation leader, and I would have loved to have done it last year, but I actually, like I said, my academic, I didn't even have the required academic GPA to apply to become an orientation leader. So that was kind of one of my motivations to get back on track. And then, so actually Mia lived down the hallway from me freshman year, and she was, when she found out she was going to be a student coordinator for this year, she was really encouraging me to apply because I think she knew that it was something that I would have liked to do. And then, yeah, so that's my story.
And applications will go out at the end of this semester. So we'll be starting some info sessions between November and December, and then the application will go live at the very end of the semester, and we'll have different activities for the team in the spring semester. The students do get paid a stipend for the work during the orientation program. They come back for a couple weeks of training, and then they go into the 4 days of orientation. So we do pay them for that. So it is not a volunteer role. And then Mia, do you want to talk a little bit about the process of joining fraternity and sorority life and what that looks like at Bentley?
Yeah, definitely. I can speak more towards the sorority. I know the general gist of fraternities, but for every first year student, they can't join a Greek life until their second semester, just because we want them to really take the first semester, try all new things, and get really see like what they like and what they don't like before they like join Greek life. So for me, I believe like applications, or not applications, you submit an interest form, I believe over winter break, and then the first week in February is when we have recruitment, and this is where everyone meets the different sororities. They learn a little bit about their philanthropies, which is like their community service they like doing, the girls in the sororities, and then from there you get to see like which girls you really match with and like really connect with. So it's a long weekend, but after that, I think it's definitely worth it. I don't know if Jay can speak a little bit more about the fraternities.
Yeah, I definitely can. So I joined a fraternity. The process is a little bit different. Most fraternities operate kind of individually. So they will go about their recruitment process kind of up to what they've been doing in the past. So most tend to send out their own interest forms themselves and try to gauge interest that way. But I believe there are 8 social fraternities on this campus. It's a good opportunity for you to meet a bunch of different people because they all operate slightly differently. And the process is relatively simple. It's a very similar 1 to 2 week recruitment process before you eventually find out if you will be granted the opportunity to join one of them. But it is a great opportunity to really build your network, meet a lot of people that are involved in a bunch of different things at this school. So yeah, a little bit different from sorority, but the entire Greek life relationship is very intertwined. So there are tons of opportunities to just meet tons of different people.
And as I mentioned, we have a community of about 20% of our students do join a social fraternity or sorority. We also have staff that are dedicated in student programs and engagement to working with our chapters on academic development. We have high academic standards. Individual chapters have their own academic standards, as does Bentley for membership in Greek life. We also make sure to help our students with community engagement events, philanthropic events. It's amazing the amount of money our fraternities and sororities raise every year to give back to local and national community efforts. But we do also have a standards program for our chapters where we ask and hold expectations for our students involved to do different levels of education, community building. So it really is a community effort to make sure that that community is successful and thriving. And there is such an amazing relationship between our chapters and our members. It's a great opportunity to work with students who are really involved. Mia, I didn't mean to cut you off. Is there something else that you wanted to add?
No, I was just going to speak a little bit about what GAC does. So GAC is the Greek Activity Council, where in the spring semester, there's this Greek week where each day there's a different like fun event where we do like boat racing in the pool or just like fun activities like that. And there's teams with fraternity matched with, or 2 fraternities matched with 1 sorority, just because there's only 4 sororities and 8 fraternities. And it's just a great way to bond with the other chapters. And that's what I really like. And that's why I got involved with GAC.
All right. And then our last question is, how would you compare the Bentley experience of living on campus versus living off campus?
I can speak a little bit on this. I personally haven't lived, actually, I can speak on 2 experiences for this. So my first year here was a time when COVID was a very big part of our life. So during the second semester of my first year here, I actually did go to school from home. Home for me is New York City. So I was taking all my classes virtually. Still didn't really affect my Bentley experience too much in a poor way, because you were meeting so many people throughout all of your classes and still being able to be involved in clubs. You just operated a little differently. So it's very easy still to build connections in that fashion. On the flip side, though, I am heavily considering moving off campus next semester as a part of my involvement with my fraternity. And on that point, the Waltham area is actually very, very vibrant. We're also very, very close to Boston, literally between 20 and 30-minute commute, depending on how you manage to get there. So there are tons of opportunities for you to get involved off campus. But despite that, living off campus does not mean you will be separating yourself from the Bentley community. There are still many, many ways that you can get involved. A lot of people that live off campus tend to come for their classes and just hang out on campus anyways, and stay involved in any of their commitments in that fashion. So it's honestly, I wouldn't say too different. There are great opportunities in either way. The only real difference is that if you're living off campus, obviously you're going to experience the Waltham area a little bit more. But if you're living off campus, you can do that anyway if you so choose. So they are very, very similar.
I also can speak to a little part. So obviously, as Jeremiah said, there are fraternity involvements off campus, and also some sports teams have houses off campus if they choose to. On top of that, I know people that have lived off campus and they have felt perfectly included on the Bentley community. But most of our students do live on campus. With the addition of our new shuttle, the Falcon Flyer, that now goes into Waltham, which is a really big deal because now it really connects Bentley to the Waltham community. So if you or grad students or want to live off campus, they now have a better opportunity to, without owning a car or needing a car. But if you do live off campus outside of that shuttle route, you may need a car though. And I do know that different town ordinances from people that have lived off campus in like Watertown, you cannot park on the street at night and with like plowing and all that stuff. So those are also things to look into if you are looking to move off campus, with like rules with cars and street parking, if there's no parking available.
I'll also mention a couple more things. Everything that we're mentioning in terms of building on Bentley relationships on campus, that goes for both commuter and non-commuter students. So if you are someone that is planning on commuting from where you have lived the last however many years of your life, you're still going to be able to connect with people at Bentley's campus, even if you have never lived here on campus, rather than someone that has started here and moved off campus. And also a quick plug to the areas in Waltham, tons of amazing restaurants, diners, churches, you name it, we have it here. So in addition to that, and the fact that we are, as I mentioned before, in such close proximity to Boston, if you want to venture even further eastward, you are more than welcome to do so. So it is a very, very vibrant city.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Okay.
I would also just say, so some of my baby talks this year were commuters, and they kind of shared to me that sometimes they did feel a little bit more disconnected because once, you know, the school day is over and everyone's doing their activities, they have to go home. But I think really that first year might be the hardest for commuters, but I feel like after that, once they've established themselves on campus and their schedule definitely gets a lot better. As for people who move off campus in their later years when they've already established, I think they typically move off with other Bentley students so they don't feel that type of way. But let's say your kid is a commuter and is feeling this way, just assure them that it's totally normal and that those connections will come over time. And yeah, being a commuter won't make your experience any less.
I was just going to offer, during COVID, we did see an increase in students living off campus in the Waltham area. Over the past year, we've certainly seen a lot of those students come back onto campus. So we are at full capacity again in housing on campus, which makes us about between, I think it's over 80%, but I'll have to double check the exact number of our student body that is residential. So we do have a large majority of our students that are living on campus. We do also have commuter lockers in La Cava, as well as a commuter lounge in that space. So if your student is looking for a place to leave bags, leave things and lock those up, they can work directly with the student programs and engagement team in the student center to get access to those. So just another resource that we have available for commuters as well.
And that is it for our questions for tonight. If you think of any other questions, please feel free to email any of the accounts that we put in the chat. If we don't know the answer, we'll make sure that we find someone to get that answer for you. We also have the various Instagram accounts that Nicole mentioned. Our orientation account is at Welcome Falcons. We post a lot of different events, upcoming deadlines, all sorts of things for new students on that account. We also post a lot of things that other accounts are sharing as well. So definitely an account to follow. But thank you all for attending this panel tonight. This will be recorded. So if you're watching the recording, feel free to email us as well. And thank you again.